College Gym Vids fan going live on YouTube. I received a request for a gymnastics meet. Brown, Cornell, Ursinus, and something else. So I'm going to upload it now. Let's see. I'm going to try to play it. It's an hour and 48 minutes long.
Loading video.
It's retrieving it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the historic Palestra as we welcome you to Penn's and the Ivy League on ESPN's coverage of NCAA women's gymnastics.
So this is Cornell, Big Red, the Brown Bears, the Ursinus Bears, and the Quakers Penn. So this is like probably like 4 or 5 teams.
So you get some of the
It's
kids
a
out
quad
in January.
meet.
What are these 4 teams looking to do here this afternoon?
So at this point in the season, they're really looking to just solidify their lineups and just get rid of the little mistakes. So at this meet, we're really going to be looking for step landings. That's going to be the biggest thing.
Well, you've got 3 out of the 4 Ivy League teams that will also see each other here later in the season at the Ivy Classic at the Palestra. They'll also see each other at the ECAC Championships, which is kind of the prize that everyone has their eye on. That's Penn, Brown, and Cornell. We also have local team Ursinus out of nearby Collegeville. But we're going to begin on the balance beam and start things off with the Brown Bears. And how about this tough spot to be in for a freshman, Sophia Petrillo, a freshman all-arounder for the Brown Bears, leading off on balance beam.
Yeah, we just saw a great jump combination from her, a split jump, wolf jump full. Really different. A wolf jump full isn't something you usually see on beam. Going for her dismount, a round off 1.5. Little step on the landing there, but she looks happy with it.
And again, Petrillo will be one of the all-around competitors today, meaning she'll be competing on vault, bars, beam, and floor, our 4 events. That's our first look at the host Penn Quakers. We have Penn opening up on vault, Cornell opening up on bars, Brown on beam, and Ursinus will get the start on floor exercise. We're waiting for our first vault score of the afternoon. That was from senior Nicole Swerbalis. That's Valerie Rube ready to go second. While we have a moment, let's check in with Ursinus on floor.
Front handspring, punch front layout full to a punch front tuck is her last pass. A solid finish for Ursinus.
And that is sophomore Haley DeChico. Now, Ursinus is a little banged up. Unfortunately, Bree, you and I were there last week. Eleanor LaFountain, junior captain, all-arounder for Ursinus, suffered a torn Achilles on floor exercise. So it's just a huge emotional loss for Ursinus, but also, obviously, they lose numbers. They lose a gymnast on all 4 events, and they're actually going to compete 5 up on bars and floor today, which means they have no margin for error, and that's a tough thing to do right off the bat.
Absolutely. It's not easy, but I think if anyone can pull it off, it'll be Ursinus for sure.
Look at Cornell, the Big Red, opening up on the uneven bars.
Beautiful tuck there.
That girl fell.
Unfortunately, fell on the dismount there for Cornell. So
fell on the
each team
dismount.
will have 6 routines. You can drop 1 and count the remaining 5. So that will be the one that Cornell looks to drop. And you see the happy aftermath of the vault from senior Valerie Rube. She was very pleased with that one. Her season high is a 9.65, and she should be back in that range again here this afternoon. We'll await her scores. And here's another look.
Yeah, this was a phenomenal vault. Yurchenko 1.5. Oh, sorry, a layout half. A great step landing there, like I said before. That's really what teams are going to be looking for at this part of the season, is really hitting those landings.
Penn got into some trouble last week at Temple on the uneven bars, and so they'll be going there in the second rotation. That'll be something to keep an eye on, but the Quakers looking very good to start off on vault. As we go back to beam, this is sophomore Kate Nelson following an opening 9.525 score from Sophia Petrillo.
Going into her flight series. A handspring step out to lay out 2 feet. She's very sharp on this event. She looks really confident, which is great. Confidence is really what you like to see from the girls early on in the lineup, so they can really set the rest of their teammates up.
To check my earlier error, it was not Petrillo in the opening spot.
And ended with a front layout full.
Sorry, quad meet, lot to keep track of. That was Emma Hansen that opened the meet for Brown and Morgan Hagenbook that just competed. Back live now to freshman Lauren Joost for the Penn Quakers.
A huge front. That was great.
Just a freshman, but competing already in a couple events. Had a 9.525 last week. Let's go over to bars, and this is freshman Donna Webster.
See a blind change full, right to double back. Really nice landing there on that dismount.
And Bree, you've mentioned it already, focusing on landings is really something that all 4 events have in common. When you're talking about stuck landings versus, a tiny hop or a tiny shuffle versus a big step or 2 out of it. And obviously, as we look at 4 teams that could be separated by a fairly small margin, landings really make up a big difference today.
They really do. And even the small hops are even what you're going for as well. If you can't stick the landing, take a hop if you need to. They just look a little bit cleaner and more controlled than steps do. So if you see a little hop at the end of someone's routine, that's usually why. Just trying to make that, just trying to control that power a little bit.
Keep an eye on Brown. Over on beam, senior Julia Green up 3rd for the Bears.
Just fell on her flight series, which was a handspring layout step out, but she's recovering strong. She looks confident in her dance.
And so again, as we talk about 6 up, 5 count, if you have a fall, that's the one you want to drop, and that would mean that the 9.525 from Emma Hansen and the 9.5 from Morgan Hagenbook would both count as a fall as an automatic 5/10 deduction.
She just had a lot of bonus in those 2 jump combinations she did. She used the switch ring as her first lead pass, which is really unique to see on beam. It's really difficult because you have to throw your head back. You can't see. Wow, a really unique dismount. I haven't seen that one in a long time.
And now back live to her sinus. We had a long delay after the opening routine from Haley DeChico. The judges were off by 0.3 on their score. One had it at a 9.6, one at a 9.3. That'll drive coaches crazy. So they do average them out to a 9.45, but the judges have to get together to talk about what they saw. And so we pick up live now with the second Bears routine of the afternoon, and this is Autumn Snake.
Ends with a big smile on her face.
Again, her sinus looking for gymnasts to step up. Their junior Autumn Snake may be one of those names. As we go back to Penn on vault.
Yurchenko full. Small hop forward, so just because her feet were a little bit behind her on that landing, and she'll have to jump forward to regain her balance a little bit, but still a really great vault.
Freshman Ava Caravella. And Penn will have 1 vaulter left in their vault lineup. Interestingly, that Penn is anchored by 2 freshmen, Caravella, who we just saw, and Sydney Craze. So Penn excited about what they have from their 2 underclassmen on vault. And a moment ago, here's a look back at bars in Cornell.
Wow, and there's that stick that we were just talking about. She really hit it.
Absolutely no deduction there from, it was Christina Lunowicz. A 4th out of 6 for Cornell on the bars, back to Beam. And now a pressure situation for the Bears as Rose Dominowski follows the fall.
White Series handspring layout, really beautiful, no wobbles. Really solid front toss. Split jump to Charlotte, jump 3/4. She'll get 2/10 bonus for that. And again, we switched it to split jump 3/4. Really difficult to land that because you're leaning sideways on the beam. Landing with a top full with a stuck landing. Really, really great landing. Really great routine.
That's a great bounce back by Brown, knowing that they had a fall in front of them, so you need your next three in your lineup. Dominowski, Petrillo, and Cassidy Young to all hit, and Dominowski has the Bears off to a good start. Back to floor, freshman Emma Brown for Ursinus.
A round up double pike. Unusual to see the back handspring not in the pass, but usually happens if the athlete has a shoulder or an elbow injury, they'll take the back handspring out, so it's just a little bit less pressure on their arms.
And you can see that foot come across the line there on the corner. That is a 1/10 neutral deduction.
Second half of her handspring layout, brand new split jump. Really great to see jumps out of the tumbling passes because it's a great way to control your power, and it just really looks really clean, really beautiful. And the last pass, a 1.5 punch front pike. Really solid routine for Ursinus.
That's after an opening 9.45 and 9.3 for Ursinus. So a nice celebration there for their freshman, Emma Brown. So we have mentioned that Penn is beginning the meet on vault. They've already wrapped up their first rotation, vault the quickest of the 4 events. Cornell on bars, Brown on beam, and Ursinus on floor. And so we'll get to take a look at how the rest of our afternoon will shape up here from the palestra. So here's our rotation for the meet today. You can see that's where we are in our first rotation. In the second, Penn will get to go in home order today, so they begin on vault. They'll go to bars, beam, and finish on floor. Next, Cornell moves to beam, floor, and they will finish on vault. Ursinus, who begins the meet on floor, goes to vault, bars, and finishes on beam. And Brown, who has sometimes the unenviable task of starting the meet on beam, will go to floor, vault, and finish on bars. I know everyone says you have to do all 4 anyway, but is there a certain mental advantage to one of those rotation orders?
Yes, for sure. Starting on beam is definitely not the greatest. So generally speaking, the first event you start on, no matter who you are, the judges are just going to score a little bit more harshly.
That's a look earlier at the routine dismount from freshman Sophia Petrillo.
Finishing with a round off double full, which is great, but the judges are usually just going to score a little bit harder on the first event, and starting on beam is just a little bit more nerve-wracking just because, you know, it's beam. But yeah, it's hard because beam is a great event to pick yourself back up. Maybe if the first couple events weren't going great, but if you're getting scored a little bit harder, then it's just naturally harder to have the beam score for your team just be lower.
Pivotal beam routine coming up with senior Cassidy Jung in the anchor spot. Brown trying to drop an 8.875 from an earlier fall. But we'll pick up with floor now and freshman Kaylin Knapsack for Ursinus.
A round off 2.5, really great pass. There's a switch side focus, which will get 2/10 for that, and her repass. double tuck. With a fall, she just had so much power on it. Then handspring layout, punch front full, to end her routine with. Different to see her do 3 passes because she started off with that double full, or 2.5, excuse me, which is an E in college, so the most difficult skill you can do.
And as Bree was keeping an eye on the floor and her sinus, I had my eyes to the opposite side of the arena floor from where we are, and Brown got a hit routine from their senior Cassidy Jung. So that's a big routine for the Bears as they'll get to drop their fall from Julia Green earlier in the rotation. Wasn't Jung's best. She had a big bobble on a front toss, or a punch front, excuse me. But she got the job done, and sometimes that's what it is. You'll take those bobbles and balance checks if you can avoid the big deduction.
Exactly. 2/10 is better than 5, so they'll definitely be able to take that.
There's the dismount from the senior Cassidy Jung, who 2 weeks ago had a 9.85 for Brown. And that'll go down as a 9.425, and again, anytime you can drop something in the 8s, that will really help, and puts Brown back into the conversation here with an opening 47.675. Looks like they'll open in 3rd behind both Penn and Cornell. Looks like we'll get an exhibition routine from Brown on B.
Cornell back handspring step out for her flight series. Really solid, and that was a great connection as well. Not the easiest to connect a forward to a backward skill, but she did it really well.
And this is freshman Sophia Miller.
There we go, pike jump to shuttle jump quarter. Looked like there was a little mishap with her feet sliding the first time she attempted it, so she just tried it again. Switch loop straddle jump 3/4. As we look up floor. First pass. Round off flip double full.
And again, remember that Ursinus, unlike the other teams in this first rotation, which are competing 6 gymnasts, and you only need to count 5 scores, Ursinus only has 5 in their lineup. So that fall we saw in the last routine from Kayla Knapsack will count for Ursinus. No chance to drop a score. And this is senior Madison O'Brien in the 5th spot, which becomes the anchor spot for the Bears.
Second pass is a punch front 1.5. And a great routine.
Yeah, well done by the Bears under some adverse conditions. They make it through rotation number 1. They'll head to vault in the second rotation. Penn will be on bars. Cornell moves to beam, and Brown moves to floor. Very tight scoring between the top 3 teams. Penn, Cornell, and Brown in that order, all bunched at the top, and Ursinus well within striking distance as we're still quite early on in this meet. Looks like we're going to get one more exhibition routine on balance beam before we take our first break of the afternoon, and this will be for Brown. And obviously a chance for the Bears with 2 exhibitions on this event to show off some of their depth and get that valuable experience here on the road.
Yeah, it's really great to have 2 exhibitions. It just shows how much talent they have in their lineups. Moving on to the flight series. Back handspring, back layout, step out. A little bit of bent knees on that, but she still finished no wobble. Moving on to just a layout step out. And then being her full to end it with. It's a really solid routine. A little bit of form issues during the routine, but I mean, she was really solid on her landings. No wobbles at all.
And so that will bring us to the end of rotation number 1. We'll step away for a break and come back with your scores through one rotation. But it's the Quakers, the home team, in the lead through 1. You're watching the Ivy League on ESPN. Very tightly. Let's go back and look at the highlights brief from rotation number 1.
This is a phenomenal layout half Yurchenko from Penn vault lineup. Moving on in another great layout full.
Great vaulting there from Penn, gives them the lead, just a shade off from a 48 on that rotation, but Cornell matching them every step of the way.
Absolutely. Their step landings on bars were absolutely phenomenal.
And the highest overall score of anyone in that first rotation, Leanda Dudley, who had a 9.825 for the Big Red. Brown on beam had some struggles. They had a fall, but were able to get the big routines late and avoid counting that fall.
Absolutely. The end of their beam lineup really brought it home for them, so it was really great to see from Brown.
And that keeps them very much in the mix. Just a couple of tenths, 2.5 tenths behind the leading Quakers as they go to floor. And Ursinus, so we mentioned, short bench due to injury, only competing 5 gymnasts, but pretty solid performance on floor.
Yeah, Ursinus did a really, really great job on floor. They looked really great out there. I mean, it's definitely hard to come back from having one of your teammates have such a difficult injury last week, especially during competition, but they did a great job.
And so as we go to our second rotation, again, remember Penn, Cornell, and Brown, the 3 Ivies here, all very tightly bunched, and so it's going to certainly can't be settled in this second rotation, but you can take yourself out of it, and we'll see who will end up prevailing at the end of 4 rotations today. But Penn will be on bars. There's a look at their head coach, who spends a long time here in the city of Philadelphia, John Ciraldi, in his 13th season at the helm for the Quakers. Cornell moving to balance beam, Brown goes to floor, and Ursinus to the vault.
Something specific you can look for in each event that's going to keep the gymnasts really, really close in scoring potential is their landings. So vault specifically, you're looking for distance from the table as well as stuck landings. Bars is really going to be hitting the handstands as well as landings, and beam is just going to be really, really solid gymnastics. So you're looking to stay really square to the beam, not really any bobbles or anything like that. And then floor is just going to be controlled landings. So steps are all right on floor as long as they're inbounds and with a reasonable distance.
Oh, and you look at, I think all of those little nuances that Bree just pointed out are magnified when you have 3 teams right now, like Penn, Cornell, and Brown, that are separated by so little. And you look at their high scores this season, Penn's best, a 192.350 at Yale. Cornell, 192.150 last week at home against SUNY Cortland. And Brown, with the highest potential probably of a bunch, a 192.850 against Southern Connecticut State at home a couple weeks ago. But you look at even their best scores are right in that same margin. So it's going to be the little things that make a difference today.
Absolutely, and like you said at the beginning, what we're looking for in this part of the season is really just tightening up the little mistakes and really getting into the competition rhythm.
And this is a look at Ursinus' Brianna Coops, who will lead off the lineup for the Bears. The junior trying to get things started on the vault.
Yuchenko layout. Start him off.
That'll be a 9-8 start value. The vaults have everything has different start values, but vault is the event in which it comes most into play after the Yuchenko layout full, which is kind of the gymnastics collegiate standard, was renormed to a 9.95. But let's look a moment ago at this opening bars routine from freshman Libby Garfoot.
It was a really, really great routine. While we were waiting for vault to start, I was watching a little bit, and that's what you're looking for on that landing. Really solid. And her handstands were, I mean, from my angle, looked really, really good. So that's going to be a good score for Penn.
That puts a charge into this Quakers team as they go about trying to protect their lead here in the second rotation, leading by just a very slim 1/10 over Cornell. They'll go to Brown on floor exercise. Leading off for the Bears is Rose Dominowski.
Really nice 1.5 punch front layout.
Dominowski matched her career high with a 9.65 last week. Back now to Penn and Caroline Nitsch.
Really nice straddle back. Ended in handstand. Huge staccato. And ending with a double layout. Another step landing for Penn.
And Bree, you know that Penn worked hard on bars this week because this is generally a very good bar swinging team, and they just did not have it last week at Temple. They looked out of sorts. They had falls up and down their lineup, and it really took them out of that meet very early. That was where they opened in the quad at Temple last week. So to come back at home, you can tell that they've worked on it, and they're feeling very comfortable right now.
Absolutely. I think they're definitely back into the swing of things because, as we talked about last week, Penn is a really, really great team on bars, and I think that's definitely what we're going to be seeing today.
Over on the balance beam, senior captain Malia Mackey for Cornell, who led the team with a 9.775 last week at home.
Ending with a front full dismount.
She's following an opening 9.3 from Peyton Murphy. Back live to floor exercise for Brown's Kate Nelson, following a 9.6 from Rose Dominowski.
Starting off with a round up handspring double tuck. Really nice landing there. Really controlled. Around up handspring double pike. The chest was a little bit low on the landing, but she brought it up to the finish. It's usually the most important, as your finish is the last thing that the judges see, so. And ending her routine with a 1.5 punch front pike. Just a little bit out of bounds, so she will get a 10th deduction for that.
Back to Penn on bars.
Looks like she'll end her routine with a blind full double back.
Junior Alex Kofi after back-to-back 9.65s for Penn. Very good routine. She had beautiful height on her gaiter. Is her single bar release move. A little short on the handstand following, but overall looked very solid. As Penn continues to try to bounce back from their woes a week ago on bars. This is Miranda Lund, a freshman for Cornell, after a 9.3 and a 9.55.
Ending her routine with a really, really nice punch front layout full. Stuck landing and all.
Bean, we kind of half-jokingly talked about this as the dreaded event that you have to rotate through in rotation one, but Cornell is a team that feels very comfortable there. They had a great performance a week ago, 48-5-7-5 on Bean, their highest score by a wide margin, and this has been a team traditionally year in, year out. It is an excellent, excellent Bean squad, and they're showing why right now.
Beam is really the event that sets teams apart. If you have a lineup that can hit Beam, then your team is going to be extremely competitive no matter who you're going up against.
And we'll stick with Penn, who can't get out of that 9-6-5 zone. Their first three have all scored 9-6-5s, and this is sophomore Rose Hawk.
Clear head to Takasha, and she hit her heels on the bar, so that will actually be a deduction, but she's recovering well with the shoot over handstand to the low bar. Moving back up onto the high bar. Looks like she just missed her pirouette there. She'll try again. Pirouette's a blind change, right to a double back, and a really nice landing there. So a couple deductions throughout the routine, but overall very solid.
Well, I think you mentioned it. I think she just cost herself some momentum there. You could see her really struggling to get that momentum back toward the end of her routine. And this is Isabel Hoseg, sophomore for Cornell.
Really unique connection, actually, yeah.
That is, I mean, that's so hard to do. You have all your momentum going backwards, you get down to one knee, and then try to get all that momentum going forward.
Yeah, I mean, she did it. Like, she got all the way around. She has a lot of power. She's a little bit off balance, but, I mean, she made it the whole way around.
That is, yeah, that is really wild. That's a tough skill.
Yeah, I've never seen that connection before.
You see, the front aerial to back layout has become more common in the last couple of years, and even that is a big shift in momentum, but it's not coming down from your knee.
Right, yeah.
Goodness.
And she even did it a time before. She did the back layout to her knee and then just went up. She was a little bit off balance, went up and tried it again. So, I mean, her legs must be tired from that.
To look back at her sinus on the vault. So that is the first fall on the beam from Cornell. It does mean that they'll have to count a 9-3 earlier in their rotation from Peyton Murphy. Luckily for the Big Red, they have two seniors in their 5th and 6th spots, Leanda Dudley and Caitlin Green. As if that Cornell had a lot of lineup changes coming out of their warm-up, and it looks like they may have continued to tinker with that lineup. So this is not Leanda Dudley up on the beam, but it is the 5th Cornell gymnast.
Showing her routine with the handstand back layout step out. You see a slight bobble because she picked up her front leg, just means she didn't have enough weight on that front leg. That leads to front toss. Really nicely done. Ending her routine with a round off 1.5. And a great landing. A little bobble, but she should still be really happy with that routine.
Always so tough to do, trying to bounce back after a fall. And here's a moment ago, Penn on bars.
Hey, Jaeger, really, really nice. With a packed onto a low bar, right into a switch kick. Moving back to the high bar for her dismount. Blindfolded double back. messed up on the landing, but...
And that routine scored a 9.75, which is the high bar score so far this afternoon for Penn. Back live to Brown on floor, and you can see another step out. So Brown has just hurt themselves with some tense here and there on floor exercise.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's really going to come down to those couple tenths. That's what's going to separate these teams today.
Brown opening up in third at the end of one rotation. Back live now to Penn on bars.
So she'll finish up with another blindfold double back and a step landing.
That is Jordan Menino, the Penn anchor on the bars. And should be a pretty good rotation for the Quakers as they try to maintain their lead. Penn will also have two exhibitions on bars, Natalie Borden and Sydney Craze, but that is the final routine that will count for the Quakers. And they're looking very solid at the halfway point. This is Leanda Dudley. Following a 9.575. Remember Cornell trying to drop that earlier fall. That was actually Malia Mackey that had the fall for Cornell. And Dudley, a very solid beam worker.
I just saw a really, really great handspring layout from her. She had really great form and a really solid landing. Unfortunately, a fall on her side area. Really difficult to do on the beam. And finishing with a round up 1.5. I mean, despite the fall, it was a really, really solid routine. She didn't have any bobbles. She had great form, so unfortunately they will have to count a fall on the beam.
So a tough break there for Cornell, trying to keep pace with Penn, and Brown vaults back into this conversation. And let's look at the Bears on floor.
This 1.5 punch from Pike. Definitely not easy to finish your routine with a double salto skill. It just really is a testament to her cardio and her power.
Again, that is the very talented freshman all-arounder, Sophia Petrillo. And we haven't had the chance to see her yet, but Brown has another excellent freshman, Maylee Costa, who will compete on both vault and bars, excuse me. So a terrific freshman class for Brown that's given the Bears a lot of excitement. We'll have one more routine left for Brown on floor. Here's an exhibition on beam from Evelyn Patient.
Really unique leap pass there. She looks really strong, really confident.
I jumped the gun here. Sorry, this is the beam anchor, Caitlin Green. And live now now to floor, the anchor on floor exercise for Brown, Julia Green. The senior in the anchor spot. Had a career high 9.85 last week on floor. Should be a fun one to watch.
Fortunately, I saw Anne going out of bounds on that round of goal pike. Still having fun with her routine, which is really good to see. And definitely hard to do, but she's all the smile on her face. 1.5 punch front pike to a stag jump. And a wolf flow to a straddle jump full. You do need dance bonus in a floor routine, so you'll see gymnasts do either a leap jump combination or 2 jumps together to get that requirement. Finishing with the double back. Really high power, high energy routine. And that's really why she fell on her first pass. She just had so much power and so much energy, but just a little bit more control and she'll be good.
So unfortunately, Brown and Cornell both take steps backward in this second rotation, having to count a ball, and Penn, by virtue of this hitting 6 for 6 on their bars routine, has now opened up a sizable lead on the field. This is an exhibition beam routine for Cornell, Evelyn Patient.
Solid side aerial there. Moving on to a beat jump, wolf jump, 3/4. Little bobble moving into a fall, but a pike gainer to snap.
And so before we officially hit the halfway point, looks like we're going to have an exhibition floor routine from the Brown Bears. And this will be, looks like we may have 2, Caroline Warren and Abby Walsh listed for Brown. Here is Caroline Warren, an exhibition on floor.
Starting off with a Ronald handspring double tuck. Really nice and non-chip, really great control on that landing. Again, it's really great to see them put jumps on the end of their tumbling passes, just to control the landings a little bit. Was a 1.5.
And we'll have one more exhibition to come for Brown. And that will be Abby Walsh. So Warren, a sophomore, and Walsh about to exhibition is a freshman. chance again to get some of those younger gymnasts some competition experience. And we already saw. I think Warren knows how to spot the camera. But this is also, you know, an opportunity for a Brown team that obviously we saw some struggles on floor. And I think Brown's situation has been they've got great gymnasts at the back end of their lineups. They have really high scoring potential. So you see when they put it all together, a meet like their home meet against Southern Connecticut State, where they scored nearly a 193. The issue for them tends to be in the front halves of the lineups, just trying to find some consistency. And so I think if you're a coach, you really have to take these exhibition routines seriously as your 7 and 8 gymnasts that could crack their way into the front half of that lineup.
Absolutely. The exhibition spot is definitely multi-purpose. The coaches get to see different athletes compete and what they might score. So maybe if they do have some issues, or even if any athletes have issues in warm-ups, they might be able to put somebody from the exhibition spot into that lineup spot.
Yeah, that happened a couple of times with Cornell. They made changes on bars, beam, and floor. And so, yeah, you do have some of those gymnasts in those exhibition spots get that last-minute call-up. And that routine from Caroline Warren scored a 9.375. That would have counted today for Brown. So here to wrap up our second rotation and officially bring us to the halfway point of today's competition, here is Abby Walsh.
Start off with a run of handspring double pike. Punch front layout, punch front full. Really nice. She had great landings throughout the whole routine, and her leap passes included. So that's also something the judges are going to look for. Not only how your landings are after your tumbling passes, but also how they are after your leaps. So she did have really nice control over those as well.
So with that, we officially have 2 rotations in the books and 2 to go. We'll step away for a break and have your scores at the halfway point. When we come back, you're watching the Ivy League on ESPN. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 2 rotations in the books.
This actually was a meet that was on ESPN Plus, and Cox Communications doesn't get ESPN Plus. So, like, I just used the ESPN app, and you can stream a bunch of sports on it. NCAA basketball.
Through 2 rotations, Penn has now opened up a sizable lead. At the end of 1 rotation, it was tight between Penn, Cornell, and Brown, and now you see some separation. The Quakers lead by over a point over Cornell, Brown, and Ursinus, 96.
They have swimming and diving and college tennis on the ESPN app.
95-350. Brown in third, 95.075,
and the ESPN app, I mean, they give you a 7-day trial to test it out, and then it's like $4.99 a month. That's cheap.
Opening up their lead,
that's a whole lot cheaper than cable.
Very solid throughout on the uneven bars.
Yeah, Penn had a really, really great bar rotation. their landings were really, really great. And Penn also is pretty much known for hitting their handstands as well. So we saw that all throughout.
And I think they even have hockey
Allison Frommer, who had a 9.75 years, the routine of the day so far, 9.825.
I like to watch ice hockey. I like to watch figure skating. I like to watch tennis, college tennis, pro tennis, men's gymnastics, women's gymnastics for USA, college gymnastics, men's and women's.
Yeah, they had a
like to watch swimming and diving.
They had some wobbles and some falls, but they also had some really solid routines, so that'll reflect in their scores as well.
Had a high score of 9.675 from Caitlin Green, 9.575 from Isabel Herseg and Miranda Lund, but a pair of falls. And Brown, very similar. A couple of falls on floor and a couple of high scores as well. So the mixed bag keeps the Brown Bears in third place for the time being. Here's their freshman all-arounder, Sophia Petrillo, who was the bright spot. High score of 9.725.
She had a really, really great routine earlier today.
And so ready to go live, and that is Sophia Petrillo, who we just saw on floor exercise. Freshman all-arounder will get to lead off for the Bears on the vault as they try to climb back into this one. She'll be followed by Kate Nelson, Gabrielle Heckman, Alyssa Gardner, Julia Green, and May Lee Costa. A freshman who has been sensational on vault and bars so far in her freshman season. So Brown is on vault, Ursinus on bars, Penn on beam, and Cornell on floor. That's how we'll stack up in our third rotation. And there's a look at the meet-leading Quakers right now, looking very comfortable. This is their home debut. They've been on the road for the entire month of January, and Bree, I'm sure it makes a big difference being at home.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Being at home is really the best place to compete. You're super comfortable. It's your own equipment. Your friends and family all around you. So being at home is definitely the place to be.
Leading off is a freshman, Lauren Juiced.
She started off with a really solid handspring layout step out.
And Bree, this has to show a lot of confidence from the coaching staff to put a freshman in the leadoff spot on beam. Shows what they think she's capable of.
Absolutely. If you're a freshman in the leadoff spot, it means you're consistent. So it's really just speaking to what she can do in practice, and the coaches have faith in her.
So far, her high score, a 9.575. That was in the season opener at Maryland.
This is a really solid routine so far. Really great landings like we were talking about.
And again, just her fourth collegiate routine, but you really can't detect any nerves from the freshman right now.
Not at all. You can see a smile every now and then from her. Ending with a really, really great dismount. She's obviously excited, and I think that's going to be a really great leadoff score for Penn.
Penn making the most of their home debut. They are locked in right now. And here is Cornell trying to get themselves back into it after some struggles on the balance beam. Senior Morgan Shaw leading off for Cornell.
Punch front 1.5 to end her routine. Speaking of smiles, there's another one.
But feels a little more natural on floor, but boy, if you can get that smile on beam, that means you are doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to vault now for Brown.
Unfortunately, they'll have a fall from there.
And that was Kate Nelson, the sophomore, following an opening 9.525 from Petrillo. They're trying to keep the momentum rolling on beam for the Quakers. Here's junior Natalie Borden after an opening 9.725 for Marin Juice, new career high, and that really sets the tone for what they can do this rotation.
Absolutely. And a 9.725, honestly, might have even been a little bit low for that routine, but just because she's the first person in the lineup means that her score is just naturally going to be a little bit lower.
You hear coaches talk all the time about wanting the scores to build, and that's kind of implicit within that is it's tough to get that big opening score, even if you deserve it. To now set the table at a 9.725, if the next 5 gymnasts can go out and do what Juice did or better, Penn is going to be in phenomenal shape.
Right, building off of a 9.725 is definitely a good place to be.
And for reference, that is the highest opening score on any rotation for any team today. So that's great work by the freshman Juice.
This has been a really unique routine so far. We saw a really different flight series, a side aerial to a round off. We saw a back walkover. And a pike gainer dismount. A solid routine. She had a bobble in the beginning, but overall, very clean.
Penn doing what they need to do, and we'll go back to Cornell trying to play catch-up with Sarah Mon.
Round up 1.5 punch from high out.
She is following an opening 9.6 from Morgan Chall.
Unfortunately, with fall, she under-rotated the round up handspring double top. So Cornell will look to drop that score in, but
That'll be the must drop right now for the Big Red if they want to try to get back into this meet. And now up third on the balance beam for Penn, Darcy Matsuda.
really nice switch loop to start off her routine. Solid split jump back tuck. Something you don't see very often in college because back tucks are just pretty easy to fall on, honestly, but still, she did it really, really well. And on her flight series and handspring layout step out.
It was one of the bright spots at Temple last week, a 9.725 on beam. Contributed some big routines for this Quaker squad as a freshman last year.
Side aerial layout full. Really great ending. She had a really, really great routine. Her form is really beautiful, so that's something that's going to work in her favor when it comes to the scoring.
And a look at Taylor Cusick on the bars, finishing up for Ursinus. And for bars for Ursinus, another one of those rotations where there's only going to be 5 for Kim Valenti's team. They open with a 9.375 from Emma Gable and an 8.7 from Danielle Terenzio. So all scores count for Ursinus on bars. Back to Cornell and floor after a fall. This is junior Macy Prescott.
She started off with a really, really big double pike. Had a great landing on it as well, so this will be a really fun routine to watch.
Prescott, a junior.
She started off with a lot of attitude, so. Punch front tuck. So that was a wolf full straddle jump fall, also known as a popa, and she will get bonus for that. And something she did really, really well in that skill was her landing. So she stayed square for he does a jump like that. Wow, I'm finishing with a round of handspring double tap. And a moonwalk, too.
No shortage of power in that routine, Prescott, and some fun as well.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to get Cornell's lineup back on track. Penn, meanwhile, not blinking an inch. Here is Nicole Swerbalis with her dismount.
Side air relative full.
Whew.
Penn has not missed a step. They've got 2 left on being Natalie Yang and Caroline Moore. And here is Brown on vault. And it is Julia Green, the senior, up 5th of 6 for the Brown Bears, following a 9.575 from Melissa Gardner.
Luchenko out. Well, really nicely done. Just a small step behind her, but other than that, the vault was really, really nice. She had really great distance from the vault table as well, which is something that the judges are going to look for in that skill in particular.
That's my error there. That was actually Maylee Costa, the freshman who we've been talking about for Brown. She was the team leader last week with a 9.775 on vault, so we'll see what that one scores for the Bears. And meanwhile, we'll check in with Cornell on floor and sophomore Claire Hackland.
We started off with a round off 1.5 step out to a round off handspring double back, which is something that's really, really different. You don't see a 1.5 step out very often, but if you saw the big smile on her face, she was really pleased with it.
Whew.
The next pass is a front handspring front layout full.
Oh.
It's always good to see them have so much fun on floor.
And there's a perfect dismount for you from freshman Natalie Yang over on beam. We saw Nicole Swerbalis, who had the dismount a moment ago for Penn, score a 9.75. So Penn in great shape on beam. They have one routine left, and it's a pressure-free routine for their senior Caroline Moore, as they've hit 5 for 5 in front of her. Low score right now for the Quakers is a 9.5, so they'll be able to drop that and move up even higher. This is a really composed-looking Penn team right now. They just feel so comfortable.
Yeah, they really, really look great on beam. And like we were talking about before, beam is really the event that separates teams. And if you have a really good beam lineup, or a lineup that just feels really comfortable up there, that's what's gonna put you apart.
And this is the final bars routine for Ursinus. It is Haley DeChico, the sophomore.
Blindfolded, getting her right to a shoot over. Really difficult connection. Toe front. Unfortunately,
she fell on the
missed her
dismount.
second foot on the bar, so she just didn't get enough power to shoot up enough. So that inhibited her rotation.
And so let's go over to balance beam and finish up this rotation for Penn, which has been brilliant thus far. Senior Caroline Moore in beam anchor. Season high 9.8, career high 9.825, so she's capable of big things on this event.
Ooh.
Front walkover V jump. Something you also don't see very often in college is a front walkover, but this Penn lineup definitely has some unique skills, which is also going to set them apart. transfer into a gainer fold dismount. Really nicely done with a step landing.
Incredibly well done. Penn 6 up, 6 hit on Bean, and Cornell will have their work cut out for them. They're coming off of a 9-8 from Claire Hacklick on floor, so here is Donna Webster. We'll have one floor routine left for Cornell that will count, and that will be Sammy Henry. A couple of exhibitions elsewhere. Cornell had a fall, but other than that, looking solid right now. So we'll see if they can hit their final routine from Sammy Henry, who's got great potential in this event. Meanwhile, Caroline Moore scored a 9-8 for Penn on Bean in the anchor spot, 48-775 for Penn on this event, and I know we throw a lot of numbers at you, but 48-775, if you 49 is the magic number. If you put together 4 of those, that's a 196 meet. And anything right now over a 48.5 is excellent news for any of these teams, and for Penn, 48-775 on Bean is just really phenomenal work. And they have 2 exhibitions. The first is from Sydney Craze, freshman.
And she's looking really, really confident up there, which is great to see. Really nice flight series. Back handspring, back layout, step out. On the floor, we'll start off with a double pike. Really, really big.
Mentioned this is Sammy Henry. Last week, she closed out Cornell's home win over SUNY Cortland with a 9.825 on floor.
Front layup from full. She's having really, really great landings throughout this routine. Even on the leap pass.
Ooh.
Ending with the double top. Again, really, really great landing. I think that'll be a big score for Cornell.
Now, unfortunately, Cornell will have to count another fall here as they did on Bean, but, you know, the story of the day for them is when they've hit, they've been excellent. They've got some really capable competitors, some big scores, just needing to clean up some of those mistakes. And, Bree, that goes back to what we talked about when we first came on the air today. You know, as we hit this point, it's still a while before you get to the postseason. That's not until the end of March, when 3 of these teams, Penn, Cornell, and Brown, will compete for an ECAC championship. There's also the Ivy Classic, which will be joined by the 4th Ivy League team here at the Fletcher. That's Yale, who is the defending Ivy Classic champs. And so you get some benchmarks along the way, but you definitely want to start, you know, taking those falls out of the picture and starting to establish some more consistency in your lineup.
Exactly. This is the point in the season where coaches are going to really try to solidify the lineup so that when we move into the second half of the season and postseason as well, the athletes are really comfortable with who's going before them, who's going after them, and then the coaches can really kind of predict how the scoring is going to go throughout the lineup as well. So this is where the exhibitions come in a lot, because the coaches are going to see what they score and who maybe they can switch out. So maybe the person that's going second or third in the lineup gets switched out with that exhibition, and maybe they'll be in for the rest of the time, but the coaches also know that they have some wiggle room as well.
Speaking of exhibitions, that's the second one there from Penn, Edie Graber. But this, the depth for Penn on Bean. Sydney Craze, who exhibition before her, scored a 9.675 in an exhibition routine. So Penn is loaded at that event. Sammy Henry, whose floor routine we saw a moment ago in the anchor spot for Cornell, scored a 9.8. So there were two 9.8s for Cornell on the floor. And here is an exhibition routine from freshman Miranda Lund.
Just start off with 2.5. Like I said before, that's an E skill, the hardest skill in the book.
That one's it's so easy to under-rotate, it's so easy to over-rotate. To hit that 2.5 cleanly, I mean, there's a reason it's an E. That is such a tough way to open.
Yeah, absolutely. And a 1.5 punch front layup. Really, really clean.
An hour and 11 minutes.
And a 2-pass routine. Just because she did an E as her first pass, it's pretty common to see athletes do a 2-pass floor routine.
Very interestingly, I was about to say, I think it's not long before we see Lund in the lineup for Cornell with her skills in that routine. She was actually listed second today in the lineup. They flipped her at the last moment for an exhibition routine, and I think that performance is certainly indicative of maybe being back in it before long.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. That's what we were just talking about, moving people in and out of the lineup and in exhibition spots. So I think she'll definitely be back in the lineup for next weekend.
3 rotations are in the books, and we have 1 to go to find a winner here. Penn, Cornell, Brown, and Ursinus will step away and come back to the palestra in just a moment.
Weird.
As a mystery piece.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Final rotation about to get underway. Kevin Kopp and Brianna Witzkowski with you here on the Ivy League on ESPN. Penn, Cornell, Brown, and Ursinus, your 4 teams here in this quad meet at the palestra, and we'll take a look at our scores through 3 rotations, and this has been a stellar day for the Penn Quakers. They waited a month to open their season at home, and they are making the most of it. 145, 225, pulling away from the pack right now with floor exercise left. Brown has moved into second ahead of Cornell. 143-1 for Brown after a solid 48-plus on the vault in rotation 3. Cornell had some high scores on floor and some struggles as well. The the Big Red in third with a 143.025, and Ursinus in fourth, 138.425. So let's start with Brown, Bree, as they get themselves back into second place thanks to some good vaulting.
Yeah, Brown had a really, really great rotation on the vault. As you can see here, they had some really, really big ones as well, like a lot of power on the vault. So it was really great to see from Brown.
Bailey Costa, their freshman, high score 9.725. Ursinus, only 5 gymnasts on the bar, so everything counted. Some struggles for Ursinus, but some bright spots in that lineup as well.
Yeah, we just saw a really, really great dismount.
It's a young Ursinus bars lineup with 4 of their 5 are freshmen or sophomores. You can see some trouble there for Haley DeChico in the anchor spot. And Penn, what can you say about Penn? They have been terrific, and this team lineup was as good as they've been all the way out the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Their team lineup was absolutely phenomenal. They were really, really solid on everything that they did. No wobbles at all throughout the routines. Stuck landings every which way. I mean, Penn had a really great rotation.
Yeah, their anchors have stepped up there. As you can see, Caroline Moore, 9-8, stuck landing. Gainer pull off the side. Just a beautiful punctuation mark on that routine. Cornell had some struggles. They had some great routines. They had 2 9-8s from Claire Hacklick and Sammy Henry, but some issues to take them not only out of contention, but put them right now in 3rd place behind Brown.
Yeah, and so we were talking earlier about their exhibition spots, about how strong their exhibitions were. They had to make some last-minute changes before the competition started, so we didn't really know what happened in warm-ups, but they might be changing their lineups for next week to put their really solid exhibitions into their lineup.
So this is the final rotation now. Penn will get to finish on floor exercise, one of the perks of being the home team, and this is an area where they are always competitive. Ursinus, who we're looking at right now, will finish up on beam. Brown will be on the uneven bars, and Cornell will finish on vault. So the wins and losses are likely decided with Penn. They have an incredible cushion right now in first place, but it matters less than the score you can put up. And Penn can really not just break, but shatter their season high with a good floor rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that as Morgan Hunker gets underway, but we're going to start with, let's keep it with Morgan Hunker on floor exercise as the senior leads things off for the Quakers here at home.
Starting her routine off with a 1.5 granny.
Good senior to start off this Penn floor lineup with Morgan Hunter and Nicole Swervelis. They've been battle tested.
Absolutely, front full comes from Pike there, and it's really great to start your lineups off with seniors because they know how to perform and they know what's coming. So that'll be great, a great start off for Penn.
And we saw what happened on beam for the Quakers, where they got that great start from Lauren Shoes to score a 9.725. That set the tone for the rest of the rotation and helped Penn to a 48.775 on beam. Here's Ursinus, who had a struggle to start things off from Sam McGuire with a fall in the series earlier in her routine, finishing up there. And now over to vault for Cornell. Kelsey Kerfers led off with a 9.525 for the Big Red. And here's a moment ago, Brown on the uneven bars.
It's a really nice shoot over to handstand. But she finished up with a blind full double back. Just tried to hold on to that landing.
Back live now on vault for Cornell, Sarah Mohan.
Yurchenko layout full with the step at the end. She just had so much power out of it.
It's 2 down for Cornell on vault. Senior Malia Mackey up third. Macy Prescott, Leanda Dudley, and Donna Webster. And back live over on the uneven bars for Brown. Freshman Sophia Petrilla.
Really nice handstand. Fortunately, missed her ganger there. Just did an extra half turn, so she landed on her back instead of her stomach. A little bit more comfortable. Her coach will put her back up, and she'll finish up.
That's after a 9.65 and a 9.55.
She saw a clear hip to shoot over right onto a toe onto the high bar. She'll finish up with a blind fold to double back. Really nice double pike from Penn.
This is Nicole Swerbalis up second on floor, after Morgan Hunker led things off with a 9-6.
One and a half punched in there. Really nicely done. She'll finish up with a round of handspring double back. Really, really great control there.
The two seniors, Hunker and Swerbalis, complete. And here's a moment ago, beautiful vault from Malia Mackey.
Wow, really, really great landing. Look at the smile on her face. She's excited about it.
That is a 9.65 for the senior Mackey.
Big Takachi from ground.
This is sophomore Emma Hansen after the fall from Petrilla.
Toe on handstand to shoot over. Just a little bit shy in the handstand to shoot over. Pass to double layout. Really nice.
Good routine there by Hansen to get her team back on track. Two left for Brown, Maylee Costa and Kate Nelson. We'll go to floor for Jordan Menino following 9-7 from Nicole Swerbalis.
Front handspring double to punch front tuck. It's a great start to a floor routine.
Menino had that great routine on bars earlier today in the anchor spot at 9.825. We know from her celebration following that routine that she's got some energy that she can expend here on floor.
And a 2.5. Finishing up with a front handspring 1.5. That was a huge routine. Huge routine for Penn.
We've only hit the halfway point for Penn in this lineup. Two freshmen, Sydney Craze and Ava Carabella, and sophomore Darcy Matsuda still to come. Back live on ball.
Wow. Great ankle full.
That is senior Leanna Dudley, following 3 straight 9.65s for Cornell. And now Brown on bars with Maylee Costa.
Finishing up with a stick. This is looking like a really competitive last event.
Yeah, everyone seems to be hitting their stride at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Penn has built up a substantial lead over Brown and Cornell, but that battle for second is going to be really interesting. Coming into this rotation, they were less than a tenth separated, so that will be one to keep an eye on. Penn is just running away with it. A 9.775 from Jordan Menino as we go over to the balance beam and check in on her sights.
That was different. A front handspring back tuck.
Senior Madison O'Brien on the beam.
Switch leap beat jump to shuttle jump 3/4. Looks like that beat jump was just a second thought, but that was also quick thinking on her part. If she was going to lose the connection, to just do a beat jump, so she had the connection at least from the jump to the shuttle jump 3/4.
Ooh, a fall for Bean.
Mainly Costa on bars for Brown, who we saw a moment ago, just scored a 9.875 on the uneven bars. That's the high score of any gymnast in any discipline today. And after a little bit of extra attention, Sydney Craze is ready to compete for Penn. That 9.875, a new career high for the freshman Costa. Here is Craze on floor, who has a season and career best 9.775.
A really big double pike to start off her routine. Really big tumbling. Lots of power.
This has been a recurring theme this afternoon with these talented freshmen. Craze is already anchoring the vault lineup for Penn as a freshman and competes in the back half of the floor lineup, and you can see why.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, her first pass was sky high. Moving into her third pass with a round of handspring double pike, just as big as her first pass.
Really impressive routine by the freshman.
It's really big, yeah.
Again, you look at this Penn team today and you wonder how they scored in the 190s twice. This is a team that's loaded top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, they have so much depth on pretty much every event we've seen. So I think that maybe just some lineup mishaps have been happening in their meets prior to this. Might affect their scoring.
Brown has wrapped up competition, so this is now an exhibition for the Bears. They had a fall in the anchor spot from Kate Nelson, so Brown's final score today is a 191 flat, and it looks like that is going to place them in third. All our scores still unofficial.
Unfortunately, a fall in her routine. Her routine, though, was pretty solid. I mean, a Jaeger and ending with a blindfold double back. Just didn't have enough energy, I guess, to rotate it all the way around.
So we'll check back with Ursinus on beam.
Finishing with a front line full this out.
Here we go with Penn following a new career-high 9.8 from Sydney Craze. Here's Darcy Matsuda.
Showing off, yet again, a big double pike.
You gotta love this as a coach. They lost some great seniors last year, especially on floor where they were really talented. And now their last three in their floor lineup this year, freshman, sophomore, freshman. So they're able to fill in those gaps and not miss a beat.
Yeah, and that definitely speaks to the experience that John has, just knowing what kind of athletes you're losing as they graduate, so you know which ones to bring in to recruit. So he knew he was losing some big floor scores, so he made sure to bring in some big floor scores as well. Front layout for Annie. finishing up with a double pike. Excuse me, a double back. Just a step out of it. She just didn't rotate enough to get her feet underneath her so she could land really firm, but it's still going to be a good score for Penn.
And we'll go live to her sinus. That is Autumn Snape in the anchor spot. And it's been a tough beam rotation for her sinus today. A couple of falls throughout their lineup.
Really different connection there. Front aerial right to a front toss.
Ooh, I love this song they're playing. Zach Brown Band, Chicken Fried. I love that song. That's a country music song.
And a Rudy dismount.
Darcy Matsuda scored a 9.65, and here to finish up the competition for the Penn Quakers, who are going to notch a quad meet win in their home debut. Here's freshman Ava Caravella to finish it up. She made her collegiate debut last week on floor with a 9.7 at Temple, so this is just her second career routine.
Really nicely done. She had a lot of room left, too, behind her. It just means she just got so much height on that double pike. Again, something the judges look for in those jump connections is making sure that the athlete got full rotation, which she definitely did get there. Another 1.5 punch front layout, really clean. Showing her routine with a double tuck. That was a great lineup for Penn.
It really was, and a great day throughout. How about this for the Quakers? Their season high coming into today was a 192.350. If that routine went 9.85, they would walk out of here with a 194 today. Wow, they had just obliterated their previous season high. Now, I don't think they're going to get there, but they were darn close, and that shows you how much they've improved over what they've done in the first month of the year. So it goes to show you it's a long gymnastics season, and anything can happen. So we're going to take a look at the final scores and break it all down for you when we come back. Penn will take the win, but we'll go inside the numbers and break it down when we return to the Flash.
Introducing a rewards program made to keep modern life moving.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Wrapping up our coverage today on the Ivy League on ESPN. Well, Penn Gymnastics had to wait a whole month, traveling all over the Northeast before making their debut here at home. And the wait was worth it for the Quakers as they come to the Macquarie Court at the Palestra and put up a season-high score to take today's teal meet, a quad meet between Penn, Cornell, Brown, and Ursinus. So the Quakers pick up 3 wins, but more importantly, they pick up a season-high score. As we take a look at our scores with the 4th rotation numbers up there, Penn 48.525 on floor exercise, and they cap it off with a 193.750. Cornell takes second. They come back after a strong performance on vault. 191.125 for the Big Red. Brown takes third, 191 flat, and then Ursinus in fourth today, 182.375. Bree, let's take a look at our 4th rotation highlights, and Cornell, who got themselves back into second place with their performance on vault, especially this one by Melina Mack.
Yeah, they had some really, really great vault throughout their lineup, so it was really great to see Cornell come back for second place with this rotation. Brown had some pretty solid routines on bars as well.
Yeah, their best score, in fact, one of the high scores of the entire day, was their terrific freshman, Maylee Costo, in a 9.875. Unfortunately, some falls in the mix as well. This is Sophia Petrillo. Ursinus wrapped up a tough day on beam, a couple of falls there. Ursinus still short some numbers after losing their junior captain, Ellie LaFountain, last week to an Achilles injury. Again, the beauty of the long gymnastics seasons, you have the time to get those lineups where you want them.
Exactly. Ursinus definitely has some time to develop their depth on each event. But Penn had a really, really phenomenal rotation on floor. Lots of big tumbling. We saw really controlled landings, which is what we're looking for at this point in the season. So Penn really killed it on floor.
They just got better and better as the day went along. You could tell they had so much confidence by the time they got to floor that they were going to put on a show, and they really did today.
Absolutely. You can tell they just had so much fun throughout their routines, and the whole palestra was full of energy.
Certainly some advantage to being at home, and you can see your final totals. Penn, 193.9 to take the win. Cornell will finish second, 191.125 for the Big Red. That's their second lowest score of the year, and one they'll try to improve. Brown, 191 flat, and Ursinus, a 183.025.
Brown, Cornell, Ursinus, and Pennsylvania W Gymnastics.
And add a new season-high score, shattering their previous high mark. Well, that will do it for us. For my partner, Bree Wickskowski, I'm Kevin Cobb saying so long from the Macquarie Court at the Palestra, where Penn scores a 193.9, a new season high for the Quakers to take the win today. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.
Peace out, YouTube.